Hello and welcome to this very special interview. Today I have a very senior advocate from the Supreme Court of India, none other than Mr. Sanjay Hegde. I'll be talking to him on a range of issues from PM CARES Fund to UAPA and alleged custodial death in Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the Logical Indian. So can you please tell us why PM CARES Fund does not fall under the category of RTI and why it cannot be audited? Like the PMO has said that it is, public account, so it cannot be audited. Don't you think it should be audited and should fall into the RTI category?
See, there are two or three questions out there. This fund is audited, but it is audited by a private auditor. It is not audited by the CAG. The demand is that, like other public funds, there should be a CAG audit. The PM CARES Fund has been put in like a public trust with nominees as trustees who are there ex officio. So whoever is the PM and the Home Minister, etc., they will be trustees of the fund. I do think that given the nature of the fund, it should have been probably designed in another way, where it came both under the RTI as well as audit under the CAG, but the current dispensation has chosen not to. They may have very good reasons. They may say that they do not that the fear of a CAG audit being politicized or constant queries by RTI activists would possibly paralyze their decision making. They possibly feel that there is money which is collected for a specific purpose, and if they have to have instant allocations to people who know that work can get done, maybe people whom they have dealt with in the private sector, that they do not want to be within the normal parameters of government. That is a government call that they have taken. I don't think it is right, but they have taken it. There is something to be said, of course, on their side, that going through all the government rules sometimes causes administrative paralysis in emergency situations. But you could surely have made a mechanism where payments were not delayed, but accountability continued.
The reason I asked is because there is no transparency in this whole system. It's like electoral bond, like who is paying and what amount is being paid. It's like there's no transparent system in that. Don't you?
Well, there is limited transparency. Let's put it that way. There will, of course, be an audit by an auditor, and you have to take that person's report at face value. Of course, because this is a public trust, it would come under the regulatory authority of the Trusts Act, and a charity commissioner, if he dares, might actually ask questions. But I don't think we will have charity commissioners of that kind anymore.
So now moving on to next question regarding UAPA, unlawful activities prevention activities. So do you think after this bill became law, there is a kind of misuse of the law given the circumstances, like Zafura Zargar first not getting bail, then again she got bail, then again Davinder Singh, there was no charge sheet filed against him because there were some allegations. So do you think the government or the law is being misused as it is, or it is being operated in the way it is supposed to be in given some circumstances?
You must remember that the UAPA has been there for a long time, since the 1960s. But it has successively been amended, made more harsh, and after specific legislation like TADA and POTA were misused and therefore they were withdrawn, now the police authorities have fallen back on the UAPA. The Supreme Court did try to prevent its misuse by saying that, in the Bhuiyan case, that merely being present does not automatically make you a member of an unlawful association and things like that. But if a policeman or anywhere in India starts using the law in a particular way, and if the courts do not come down harshly enough against that misuse in the first instance, that misuse is likely to persist. And now, with courts not having really questioned in any specific case any invocation which has gone much beyond the terms, uh, police are having a field day. I fear that at the end of the day, when the tides of history turn, again, UAPA will also go down the same way that TADA and POTA have gone. Because it is one thing to make harsh laws for specific circumstances for terrorists, but using it indiscriminately against the populace as a whole, against ordinary dissenters or protesters, is a sure shot way of getting the act of the statutes books at some point or the other. I do not think this kind of imperial overreach on the part of the executive can long continue.
So now let's move on to the next topic. India-China relation seems to be, the worst phase at this point in time. You have also spoken and written like so much on this. What do you think? Is the government of India handling this matter better under Narendra Modi? What is the whole situation all about? Some say Chinese intruded into Indian territory, they have taken control, but PM says it has not. Like there's a lot of confusion on this. A lot of confusion. Even experts are divided on this. What do you think? The government has been able to handle the situation better?
Well, even a perfect handling can always be bettered. You must remember that Indira Gandhi won us Bangladesh, but then she lost in the peace talks when she let the prisoners go. So these are all things which can only be answered in hindsight. But yes, we have a huge problem. We have a huge problem which has come both out of history as well as geography and politics. It has come out of history in as much as the borders between India and British India and Old Tibet were not particularly delineated, or were delineated when the British had the upper hand. Now we do not have a settled border between India and China. We have a line of actual control. Actual control line means whatever the militaries have put down on their maps as that we control up to this line, we patrol up to this line. There have been talks from time to time about a settlement between India and China on the border, but that again has never happened. In the meanwhile, there has been a constant nibbling away at the line of control. Sometimes governments have looked away, sometimes governments have not looked away. Sometimes this kind of behavior is brazen. Between India and China, previously our geography kept us apart. The Himalayas were huge. Then you had buffer states like Tibet. Now we do not have that. And the Chinese do not see an Asian century with two Asian giants.
Okay.
They see only one. They go by the phrase that one mountain can't hold two tigers. We really need to sit and define our relationship with China. We cannot give up. We cannot give in to bullying. At the same point of time, we cannot forever divorce 1/5 of humanity. Both of us need to find a long-term solution and try to reduce these pinpricks in the interim. However, we cannot at any stage appear to be weak.
Now let's talk about alleged custodial killing which happened in Tuticorin, Tamil Nadu, of Father Jairaj and son Benix. What do you think about this whole situation? Does it expose the whole system itself of the faults?
There's nothing called an alleged custodial killing. they were killed, they were in custody. There has been a custodial killing. And their arrest also has been caught on CCTV camera. This is essentially the same story from place to place all over India. The police have never been in India a force which is people friendly. They have largely been successors to a colonial state which tried to keep law and order among the natives. Now, the colonial state has been succeeded by Indian rulers, but there has never been any reformation which has made the police fully a public servant. There is also that other problem that investigation functions and law and order functions have never been separated. No set of politicians has ever allowed that. They ultimately, police become an enforcement army internally. They have ruled by the power of the danda, and if you are subject to the danda inside the police station, on a bad day, anything can happen.
So talking about this,
This particular case may have been a terrible case.
okay,
There have been worse cases, and there have been cases which have just stopped short of death. But the fact is that as a matter of law, the police has no right to custodial violence whatsoever. And unless that is made clear right through every police station, these things will continue.
so talking about particularly of like this case which happened in Tamil Nadu, now the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has said that he will hand over the case to CBI if the Madras High Court agrees. Do you think this particular case should be handled by CBI?
Why should it be handed over to the CBI? Is the Tamil Nadu police incompetent? Do they not know? Can they not find out what has happened? Can they not take action against their own people? Sending it to the CBI is an easy cop out by the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, because very many matters go to the CBI for inquiry in Delhi and then linger on there. There was a CBI inquiry into the Tuticorin firing in Sterlite. What has happened? So I don't think that you need an outside investigation. What you need is an independent investigation, and to ensure that it is independent, if you tell the police that have an independent investigation and I'll be watching that you do not cover up, you are sure to get the desired results. If the Chief Minister wants, he should say let the Madras High Court itself monitor the investigation, and that investigation should be speedy and time bound.
Okay.
What is there in this investigation? It is investigation into what happened in those few hours between the arrest and their death 2 days later. That's 48 hours.
So moving on to the last question, there was a bill which was tabled in the Parliament in 2010, if I'm not wrong. It was about torturing, like preventing torture and custodial torture.
Yes.
Do you think that bill
Yes.
should be passed now? What do you think about that?
Well, we can keep passing bills, but putting in harsher and harsher punishment. But unless there is both a political reform as well as an administrative recognition that this cannot be done, these issues will continue. Now, if you have harsh punishment for torture, then you can bet your life that the policeman will take even more precautions when he actually does it. So what I would really like to see is an administration which tells the police that we want the results, but you will not resort to custodial interrogation.
So there has to be sensitization in the matter.
Yeah, but which politician will allow that? Every politician who likes to get the worker of the other side inside on some case or the other, and taught a lesson within quotes. So when you seek obligations from the police, you will also look away at them when you are in power. When you are out of power, of course, you will shout about police brutality.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for spending time and doing this interview with us.